Hello everyone, welcome to our TJ Comments and Answers channel. I hope all of you are doing well. In this video, we are going to analyze and answer the questions from this week's Watchtower Study, which corresponds to the week of January 26th to February 1st and is entitled, You Are Very Valuable. Without further ado, let's begin. Let's look at questions 1 and 2. What will help us to be convinced that we are very valuable to Jehovah? What will help us to be convinced that we are very valuable to Jehovah is to analyze Bible accounts that show how He wants us to treat others, especially by observing the way Jesus treated people with dignity and respect. By meditating on these examples, we understand that Jehovah deeply values those who are humble and who may feel unimportant. Additional comments. The way Jesus treated people perfectly reflects Jehovah's way of thinking. According to John 5 verse 19 and Hebrews 1:3, Jesus acted in complete harmony with His Father, so the way He treated others confirms how much Jehovah values people. By showing respect and compassion even to those who felt insignificant, Jesus made it clear that, to God, everyone has great value. Haggai 2:7 highlights that Jehovah values what others may consider small or unimportant. This helps us understand that our worth does not depend on how others see us, but on how Jehovah sees us. By reflecting on this point, we can strengthen our spiritual self-esteem and become convinced that Jehovah sincerely appreciates us, even when we ourselves doubt it. Let's move on to the first subtitle, How Jesus Helped People See That They Are Valuable. Let's look at question 3. How did Jesus treat the people from Galilee who came to Him? Jesus treated the people of Galilee with compassion, dignity, and respect. He did not look down on them as the religious leaders did. Instead, He took time to teach and help them, caring for both their spiritual and physical needs. In addition, He sought ways for more people to receive help by training His disciples. Additional comments. Jesus perceived the emotional and spiritual condition of the people, seeing them as confused and in need of guidance. Matthew 9:36. Unlike the religious leaders, He did not label them or look down on them. John 7:47-49. This shows that Jehovah deeply values those whom others consider insignificant. His compassion confirms that no one is invisible to God. By taking time to teach and heal people, Matthew 9:35, Jesus showed that a person's value does not depend on education or social position. Furthermore, by training His apostles to expand the work, Matthew 10:5-8, He made it clear that Jehovah wants more people to feel cared for and valued. This teaches us to imitate His considerate way of treating others. Let's look at question 4. What do we learn from the way Jesus treated humble people? We learn that Jesus sincerely valued humble people and treated them with kindness and respect, even when others despised them. His way of acting shows that Jehovah deeply appreciates those who are humble and eager to learn, regardless of how the world views them. Additional comments. Jesus' kind and respectful treatment of humble people shows that He perfectly reflected His Father's way of thinking. By approaching those who were despised by society, Jesus confirmed that Jehovah does not measure a person's value by human standards, but by the heart and the willingness to learn. Remembering how Jesus treated humble people helps us strengthen our spiritual self-esteem. His example assures us that even if we feel of little value, Jehovah takes note of those who serve him humbly. This perspective encourages us to see ourselves as Jehovah sees us, not as others see us. Let's look at question 5. What was happening to the woman whom Jesus met in Galilee? The woman had been suffering for 12 years from a serious health problem, which isolated her socially and spiritually. Because of her condition, she could not interact normally or participate in worship, and she had also suffered greatly physically and emotionally without finding relief. Additional comments. Mark 5:25-26 shows that the woman had not only been sick for many years, but had also tried everything without success. This helps us see the depth of her suffering and frustration. Even so, Jehovah knew her situation perfectly and had not forgotten her. This account reminds us that even when a trial is prolonged, Jehovah continues to pay attention to those who trust in him. Leviticus 15:19-25 explains why her illness kept her separated from others and from public worship. This situation must have made her feel unworthy or excluded. However, the fact that Jesus took an interest in her shows that Jehovah values people beyond any limitation or condition, and that his love is not affected by ceremonial regulations. Let's look at question 6. How was the woman who suffered from hemorrhages healed? The woman was healed by touching Jesus' clothing in faith, convinced that this simple act would be enough to heal her. She did not do it publicly or with words, but discreetly, moved by deep faith. At that very moment, her illness completely disappeared. Additional comments. Mark 5:27-28 highlights that the woman acted out of firm faith, not just simple hope. Although she felt ashamed and afraid, she fully trusted in Jesus' power. This shows that Jehovah values sincere faith, even when someone approaches him with insecurity or fear. Mark 5:27-28 also shows that the woman took the initiative to approach Jesus despite emotional and social obstacles. Her example teaches that Jehovah responds when we take steps based on faith, even if they are small. He does not ignore those who seek him with a sincere heart. Let's look at question 7. How did Jesus treat that woman? Mark 5:34. Jesus treated the woman with tenderness, respect, and great consideration. He did not shame her or scold her, instead, he reassured her and restored her dignity. By calling her daughter, he made her feel accepted, close, and secure, helping her not only to heal physically, but also emotionally and spiritually. Additional comments. Mark 5:34 shows that Jesus did not limit himself to confirming the healing, but focused on the woman's emotional well-being. By speaking to her with affection and assuring her of peace, he made it clear that she had done nothing wrong. In this way, he reflected Jehovah's deep interest in healing the feelings and conscience of his servants as well. Mark 5:33 highlights that the woman was filled with fear and anxiety when she presented herself to Jesus. His calm and understanding reaction shows that he understood her distress. This treatment confirms that Jehovah is sensitive to our emotions and treats us tenderly when we approach him sincerely. Let's look at question 8. What difficulties did a sister from Brazil face? The sister from Brazil faced severe physical limitations from birth and constant social rejection. She suffered mockery and cruel nicknames at school, and even some prejudiced attitudes within her own family, which deeply affected her spirit and self-esteem. Additional comments. Psalm 139:14 reminds us that every person is valuable and worthy, regardless of physical limitations. Although Renata was treated with contempt by others, to Jehovah her life has immense value. This verse helps us understand that personal worth is not defined by human opinion, but by God's loving view. Isaiah 41:10 highlights that Jehovah strengthens and supports those who go through difficult situations. Despite bullying and prejudice, Renata was able to continue serving Jehovah faithfully. This shows that when we trust in him, we receive the emotional strength needed to endure trials that could break others. Let's look at question 9. What helped Renata feel very valuable? What helped Renata was the affection, support, and constant encouragement of the brothers and sisters in the congregation. They treated her as part of a true spiritual family and helped her see herself as Jehovah sees her, which allowed her to become convinced that she is very valuable to him. Additional comments. Isaiah 41:10 fits well with Renata's experience, since Jehovah strengthened her through the loving support of the congregation. That constant encouragement was a tool Jehovah used to help her overcome feelings of rejection. Thus, we see that Jehovah not only provides direct support, but also support through his people. Psalm 68:6 shows that Jehovah provides a family for those who serve him. Renata found in the congregation a true spiritual family that accepted and valued her. This confirms that Jehovah uses his servants to help others feel loved, secure, and valuable in his eyes. Let's look at question 10. What terrible situation was Mary Magdalene in? Also look at the pictures. Mary Magdalene was in a very terrible and distressing situation, since she was under the control of 7 demons. This must have caused her great emotional and social suffering, making her feel rejected, helpless, and very afraid, until Jesus freed her and restored her hope and dignity. Additional comments. Luke 8:2 helps us understand how serious Mary Magdalene's situation was, since being dominated by so many demons completely affected her life. Even so, Jesus did not avoid or reject her. By freeing her, he showed that Jehovah does not define a person by their past or their problems, but by the value they have to him. Luke 8:2 also shows that after being freed, Mary Magdalene chose to follow Jesus in faith. This indicates that the help she received was not just momentary, but transformative. Thanks to Jesus' compassionate treatment, she was able to see herself as Jehovah saw her, a dignified, valuable person, capable of serving him loyally. Let's look at question 11. How did Jesus make it clear to Mary Magdalene how much Jehovah appreciated her? Also look at the pictures. Jesus made it clear to Mary Magdalene that Jehovah appreciated her by giving her special privileges and treating her with trust and dignity. He invited her to accompany him, allowed her to learn directly from his teachings, and after his resurrection, granted her the honor of being one of the first people to see him and to deliver an important message to the apostles. Additional comments. John 20:11-14 shows that Jesus took the time to approach Mary Magdalene during a moment of deep sorrow. He did not ignore her or pass her by, but addressed her with care and consideration. This demonstrates that Jehovah values those who are loyal to him and sincerely cares about their feelings. John 20:16-18 highlights that Jesus entrusted Mary Magdalene with an important assignment, announcing his resurrection. By giving her this privilege, he made it clear that he trusted her and considered her valuable. Thus, we see that Jehovah not only forgives and restores, but also honors those who serve him with faith and loyalty. Let's look at question 12. Why did Lydia feel rejected? Lydia felt rejected because she grew up without her mother's affection or attention, and her mother even spoke cruel words to her from a very young age. That lack of love led her to think that she did not deserve to be accepted or loved, deeply affecting her self-esteem and the way she viewed herself. Additional comments. Psalm 27:10 helps us understand that even if a person suffers rejection from their own parents, Jehovah never abandons those who need him. In Lydia's case, this principle shows that the love and acceptance she did not receive from her human family could be found in Jehovah, who always welcomes with affection. Isaiah 49:15 highlights that Jehovah's love is stronger and more constant than any human affection. Although Lydia was marked by harsh words and maternal rejection, this text reminds us that Jehovah never forgets or stops loving those who are valuable to him. His love can heal deep emotional wounds. Let's look at question 13. What helped Lydia understand the great value she has in Jehovah's eyes? What helped Lydia were prayer, Bible study, and the constant affection of the brothers and sisters, as well as the loving support of her husband and friends. Thanks to that atmosphere of love and encouragement, she was able to see herself as Jehovah sees her and understand that she has great value to him. Additional comments. Romans 8:38-39 shows that nothing can separate us from Jehovah's love. As she came to know the truth, Lydia began to perceive that love in a real and constant way. Prayer and Bible study helped her replace negative thoughts with the assurance that Jehovah loves her deeply. Proverbs 17:17 highlights the value of loyal and constant support. The affection of her husband and friends was a practical expression of Jehovah's love. This shows that Jehovah uses those close to us to remind us of our good qualities and to help us heal emotionally, especially when rejection has left deep scars. Let's move on to the second subtitle, What You Can Do to See Yourself as Jehovah Sees You. Let's look at question 14. What does 1 Samuel 16:7 teach us about Jehovah's viewpoint? Also look at the box, why does Jehovah value his servants so much? This verse teaches us that Jehovah does not value people based on external criteria such as appearance, social position, or human achievements. He looks at what is inside a person, their motives, their heart, and their sincere desire to serve him, which is very different from the way the world thinks. Additional comments. 1 Samuel 16:7 makes it clear that Jehovah's standard is completely different from the human one. While people tend to judge by what is visible, Jehovah looks at the heart. This helps us understand why he values his faithful servants so much, even when they themselves feel insignificant or go unnoticed by others. Isaiah 55:8-9 reminds us that Jehovah's way of thinking is far above the human way of thinking. So even if someone has low self-esteem or feels worthless, Jehovah may see them as very valuable. Adjusting our viewpoint to his helps us see ourselves more realistically and strengthens our spiritual self-esteem. Let's look at question 15. Why did Jehovah tell Daniel, "You are very precious"? Daniel 9:23. Jehovah told Daniel, "You are very precious," because of his faithfulness and his constant love for what is right. Despite being tired and discouraged, Daniel continued praying and trusting in Jehovah, and this moved Jehovah to deeply appreciate him and encourage him with those words. Additional comments. Daniel 9:23 shows that Jehovah answered Daniel's prayers immediately and encouraged him by reminding him of his value. This shows that Jehovah pays special attention to those who serve him faithfully for many years, even when they are exhausted or discouraged. His approval does not depend on physical strength, but on loyalty of heart. Hebrews 6:10 highlights that Jehovah does not forget the love or the faithful works of his servants. Like Daniel, those who persevere in serving him can be sure that Jehovah values every effort. This verse helps us trust that Jehovah recognizes our faithfulness and considers us very precious. Let's look at question 16. What can help you see Jehovah as a loving Father? It can help you to meditate on the fact that Jehovah is a loving and protective Father, who does not focus on your flaws to condemn you, but wants to care for you and help you. Thinking about his tenderness, patience, and the personal interest he has in you strengthens the assurance that he loves you and values you. Additional comments. Luke 12:6-7 highlights that Jehovah pays attention even to the smallest details. This verse helps us see that if he cares for things that seem insignificant, how much more he cares for his servants. Meditating on this allows us to feel safe and loved, like children in the hands of a caring father. Hosea 11:4 shows that Jehovah draws and guides his servants with love and tenderness. Remembering how he has helped us draw close to him and remain faithful strengthens the conviction that we are valuable to Jehovah. His loving treatment confirms that we are not a burden, but beloved and appreciated individuals. Let's look at question 17. What can convince you that you have Jehovah's approval? Psalm 5:12. Also look at the picture. What can convince you is remembering that Jehovah gives you his constant approval and support. Being sure that you have his favor protects you emotionally when doubts about your personal worth arise and helps you feel secure and strengthened in the face of negative thoughts. Additional comments. Psalm 5:12 12 shows that Jehovah's approval acts as powerful protection. Knowing that He blesses and supports those who do what is right gives us emotional stability. This assurance works like a shield that helps us resist insecurity, discouragement, and doubts about our value. Psalm 5:12 also highlights that Jehovah surrounds the righteous with His favor. This teaches us that His approval is not distant or abstract, but constant and close. Meditating on this idea helps us accept words of encouragement and become convinced that Jehovah is truly pleased with us. Let's look at question 18. Why should you accept the words of encouragement you receive? You should accept words of encouragement because Jehovah may be using them to confirm that you have His approval. Rejecting them can prevent encouragement from accomplishing its purpose. Accepting them with humility helps strengthen your self-esteem and recognize that Jehovah cares about your well-being. Additional comments. Proverbs 12:25 shows that an encouraging word can completely change a person's state of mind. When others sincerely encourage us, Jehovah may be using those words to lift us up and give us strength. Accepting them allows us to benefit from the support He lovingly offers. 1 Thessalonians 5:11 highlights the importance of encouraging one another. Jehovah uses the brothers and sisters, including the elders, to convey timely comfort and encouragement. Recognizing this helps us not to reject those words, but to see them as an expression of Jehovah's love and approval. Let's look at question 19. Why can you be sure that you are of great value to Jehovah? You can be sure that you are of great value to Jehovah because He deeply cares about you and loves you, and Jesus demonstrated this through His tender way of teaching and treating people. Jehovah is not indifferent to your life or your efforts. To Him, you matter greatly, and He wants you to help others feel valuable as well. Additional comments. Luke 12:24 shows that Jehovah cares even for creatures that seem less important. If He cares for them, how much more does He value His servants? This verse reinforces the idea that your value does not depend on how you feel or on what others think, but on Jehovah's constant love. John 3:16 highlights to what extent Jehovah values humanity. He was willing to give what was most precious to Him. This supreme act of love confirms that every faithful person has great value in His eyes. Remembering this sacrifice strengthens the assurance that Jehovah loves you and deeply appreciates you. Now we will answer the review questions entitled, What would you answer? Question 1. How did Jesus help people see that they were valuable in God's eyes? Jesus helped people by treating them with dignity, respect, and compassion, especially those who were despised or ignored by others. He devoted time to them, listened to them, helped them, and gave them responsibilities, demonstrating through actions that Jehovah valued them greatly. Question 2. How did Jesus help the woman who suffered from hemorrhages? Jesus helped her not only by healing her, but also by treating her with tenderness and respect. He reassured her, called her daughter, and removed any feelings of guilt or shame, helping her regain her dignity and feel loved and valuable to Jehovah. Question 3. What can we do to see ourselves as Jehovah sees us? We can adjust our viewpoint to Jehovah's, meditate on his love, read Bible accounts that show how he values his servants, and accept the encouragement we receive from the brothers and sisters. In addition, remembering how Jehovah has helped us in the past strengthens our spiritual self-esteem. Well, these have been the answers from this week's Watchtower study. I hope they are of great help to you, my dear brothers and sisters. We will see each other next week with a new video. I send you a big hug, and may Jehovah bless and protect you always.